everybody, this is City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a layout for you that I made using the January My Creative Scrapbook limited edition kits. And the kits featured the Prima with Love collection by Frank Garcia, and they're really beautiful papers and embellishments, and I'm excited to show you what I made. So here I'm cutting out a circle, and I'm using these old creative memories tools. It is a large circle, and I just used the cutter that cuts the smallest amount and the one that cuts the largest amount, and made a little circle there that I'm going to be using as a wreath. To cover the wreath, I'm using these die cuts, and I keep a box of die cuts of all different floral die cuts because I do use them so frequently. I'm using a little bit of paint in each of the colors that I see in the collection. I'm using some green and some greenish blue and then different colors of pink. So I'm just very, very lightly coloring the edges of the leaves. There's no gesso on the leaves, so I'm being careful because wherever I put the color, it doesn't really spread around too well, and you can see exactly where the brush hits the paper with these die cuts. So I'm just putting a little bit of color on the ends of each of them, as I said, and I'm using a lot of water, and I'm using all the different colors. I'm showing you green, blue, and pink here, but I do use all 6 of those colors, and that just provides some variety in the wreath. There's all different colors that coordinate together. So now that I have all of the leaves covered, I cut out, and there's no footage of that, but I did cut out a circle from one of the pattern papers, and I'm going to be using the outer part of the circle. And now I thought I was combining some modeling paste and some stencil paint in white, but it turned out when I had to make more of it, I was looking around for the modeling paste and I couldn't find it. And I found that it was buried under a couple of other things. And I was like, well, I know I didn't just do this. So I realized that by accident I had used some heavy duty gel, which I usually just use as kind of a heavy duty glue. But it worked out just fine. And there was a little bit more of sheen and I guess translucent nature to the gel, but I liked it. I would do it again. So now I'm making sure it's totally dry. And now I'm putting some ATG adhesive on the background, and I'm going to glue that pink, the outline of the pink circle down. And the stencil that I just used is a Vicky Boutin stencil that was also included in the January kits. And I left a little bit of white around the edges. That's just peeking out from the back. I'm not cutting the pattern paper. I'm just cutting the white paper that's behind it. I'm just cutting that off. So you could see the sheen from the gel there a little bit. And I had those bright lights on, but I remembered to turn them off. I often do not. And I'm taking the thin circle that I cut out and I'm putting some adhesive foam around the edge. And the adhesive foam is 1/8 of an inch. And I get this from Amazon. It comes in big rolls. Now I'm just removing the backing from the adhesive foam so it'll be sticky, and I'm attaching it to the background, and that will form the wreath that I'm now going to work on. These Prima flowers that were included in the kit, they're so beautiful and the colors are stunning and go perfectly with the papers. I wanted to put something behind the flowers, so I just made some bows out of tulle. It's just inexpensive tulle that I bought on a small roll from Joann. And like I said, I just took some of it, tied a bow, and now I'm using my hot glue gun. I don't usually use my hot glue gun. I usually use the heavy duty gel medium that I ended up using in place of modeling paste on the background, but for the tulle, I felt that it would need hot glue in order to be attached well to the background. and it worked out fine. It actually wasn't as hard to work with as I had anticipated it would be. It glued down pretty easily. And here I am just making sure that everything is just the way that I want it, because you know, once you glue something down and it dries, you can usually get it up, but it can cause some damage. So I'm just being careful. And there's those leaves that are on the left side of the flowers. I kind of wish I had left the one pink leaf, the dark, not the really dark pink leaf, but that one I was just touching. I wish I had kind of left the leaf on the right, and then it would be a little bit different, and that would add a little bit more interest, but it's fine. It's okay. I don't mind that it goes to the left. Just something that I wish I had considered before gluing it down. Now I'm adding those larger leaves by the roses, and I include 3, but I do come back and put 2 more in there within, you know, the flower area, and I do move that one that's on the inside next to that large dark pink flower, the one that's to the right. I do end up moving that out of that position. The next step is to create the wreath, and I'm doing that with the die cuts that I just painted a little while ago. And the way that I'm doing this, I have to tuck the leaves that I put on, the newer leaves that I put on, behind the ones I already have placed on there. And it works out fine, but I had to make sure that I've tucked them in, because I'm gluing as I go, which I don't often do, but I know me, if I put them down and then I go to glue them on, I'll just kind of redo the whole thing anyway. So this time I'm just tried to make some decisions as I go. Here, this actually makes a little bit more sense. I'm trying to glue things down so that I'm layering the new on top of the bottom of the ones that are already glued down. I hope that makes sense. But I ended up just wanting to continue the way that I was going, and I'm just trying to choose all the different colors in each area. So I want to have some green in each area, some pink, and some blue. I'm also trying to make sure that you can't see the paper that's the circle. I don't want that sticking out or being too obvious, although it kind of blends into the white on the inner circle, but I did keep that in mind. I didn't want any large areas of that showing. Now I'm going back in with this slightly different leaf. I made one of those in pink, one in blue, one in green, and I'm just gluing those down just to add just a little something extra there. And I do go around with the glue and glue everything down really well. I do leave the tops of the leaves a little more loose than the bottoms, but I do want to make sure that when I pick up the layout, I don't have things falling out. Here I am placing those leaves. I cut the stems off so they'll fit in there a little bit better. And now I just selected that picture, and I just showed a piece of like mint green cardstock that I'm going to be mounting my photo on. First, I mounted on a piece of white cardstock, and then I mounted on the green cardstock. I placed a piece of chipboard under the photo. It says "All My Love," and I am going to use that on my layout, but I'm not going to leave it there. I just completed putting some fussy cut roses all around the wreath. Those are cut out from the papers. The papers are full of roses, so I cut out a whole bunch of them and I just tucked them into different places in the wreath. I just put down some photo corners. I punched those using a photo corner punch, and now I'm putting a pearl in each of the corners. Here I am gluing some little embellishments down. I put a chipboard heart over the photo with a pearl on that as well. I fussy cut out the butterfly that's on top there and the birds that are on the right. They're so super cute. Now I'm adding the phrases in. I'm putting that piece of chipboard that says "All My Love." That was actually cut off of another piece of chipboard that had some little girls on top of it. I use it on a different layout. And then I'm adding a piece of chipboard that says "Love You." And there was another one that said "Sweet Lullaby." I just cut off the lullaby and I left the sweet. And I'm using some glue to just attach those down. There's so many little pieces that I do want to make sure that everything is attached. And then I do go back in and I didn't mention that bow. That bow is not a scrapbooking item. It's just from my stash. I bought that with a big bunch of bows for sewing supplies. Not that I sew, but I I did purchase it with from a company that makes bows for sewers. And now I'm including some pearls. I do use some round pearls on this layout in all different sizes, and I did spread those around the wreath as well. My title is going to be using these stickers. These are from a past My Creative Scrapbook kit. I'm going to call it Sisters. I go in with some metallic wax in rose gold, and I'm just dulling down the color, and in addition making the gold into a rose gold, which goes a little bit better with this collection. And I also, in addition to the letters for sisters, I also took some periods and I colored those in rose gold too. There were a whole bunch of extra periods included in these stickers, and I spread those around the layout as well, just to add a little bit of gold in other spots. There's some in the flowers, there's some in the title, and I just wanted those little teeny tiny squares to be, all around the layout to spread out that color. And I'm just gluing those down now. They're very tiny and a little hard to handle. I want to make sure I have them all glued down because if they were to fall off, it would be very unlikely that they would be found. And finally, I am putting a photo corner in each of the corners. I have that little scrolly one. I love that punch. It's an older punch, and I think it's just the perfect touch in the corners. So I'm adding one of those photo corners to each of the corners, and I'm going to put 2 pearls on each of those. I'm going to put a slightly larger pearl on the outside and then a smaller one on the inside. And over that to the right, that's my daughter tapping her foot. I didn't realize that was going to be on the video, but that's what that is in case you're wondering. And now that I have all the pearls on there, I do go back in and I glue in all those letters, and I do fuss around with them for a while so I don't include all of that. But you can see I just glued them all down. And that completes this layout. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you'll head over to the My Creative Scrapbook website and check out all the beautiful kits they have. This limited edition kit is absolutely gorgeous again this month. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing, and I will see everybody again soon, and I hope you have a great day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.